Hello guys and welcome to the next Urban News episode. By the way, I make these episodes weekly, so subscribe to the channel not to miss the future content. And before we start, I'd like to thank to all my amazing Patreon supporters. And one more important announcement. In the previous video, I made a silly mistake that I want to correct now. Of course, this is not Montreal, but Quebec City. And this is Montreal. I apologize to anyone who was offended by this. Did you miss some good news from Paris? Yeah, I know you did, so here is the news that Paris is moving forward with the expansion of its metro system. This time they added a total of about 22 kilometers and 14 stations at 2 lines. A couple weeks ago, line 11 was extended eastward by roughly 6 kilometers up to the town of Rosny-sous-Bois, adding 6 new stations to the line. A little bit overdue extension as it has been planned since the 1930s. The new eastern terminus at Rosny-Bois-Perrier connects with the RER-E existing station, which serves a large Westfield mall and major bus station. Around 2030, this new interchange will also be served by Metro Line 15, which is the huge loop line circling Paris. Preparatory construction works are underway for Line 15 station on the other side of RER-E tracks and half a kilometer from there for the maintenance and storage center of Line 15 eastern section located on the northern edges of Rosny-sous-Bois. This maintenance and storage center will extend over 1 kilometer in length and cover 14 hectares, and also it will host over 200 permanent jobs. Also, a part of this extension is the depot of Line 11 located on the other side of the shopping mall. It entered service when the new section began its testing phase several months ago. By the way, it is interesting to note that this line uses rubber-tired trains, and the testing phase of the new stations and tracks saw the last days of the MP59 trains, which had been serving Parisians and tourists for more than 60 years and were the oldest type of rolling stock still in use in Paris. Now on, a fleet of 39 5-car MP14 trains will run on Line 11, marking an increase in capacity of more than 25% per train. And this will greatly help with the 85,000 new daily riders expected on the extension. This week they opened to much fanfare the extension of Line 14, adding 1 new station in the north and 7 stations in the south. So the total length of the line has now doubled to about 30 kilometers, making it the longest in the Paris network. One of the stations on the south extension, named Villejuif Gustave Roussy, is still being worked on and currently only serves as a rescue station and will open to the public later in December this year. This station will also be a major interchange with the Line 15, of which the south section will open in the late 2025. The other very important station, besides Orly Airport of course, is Saint-Denis Pleyel, which will become the main Grand Paris Express hub when Lines 15, 16 and 17 will join Line 14 to serve the station in the coming years. This 9-level masterpiece of architecture, designed by the Japanese architect Kengo Kuma, who also signed the Japan National Stadium, is equipped with 56 escalators crisscrossing a large space in the heart of the building and 17 elevators for seamless accessibility. It rises 35 meters above the ground and 28 meters below, abundantly using glass and wood to enhance the traveler's experience. And it is expected to serve 250,000 passengers daily when all 4 metro lines will be launched. Line 14 is important because it connects Orly Airport, which is Paris' second international one, and the core of the city to several of the main Olympic sites, like Athletes Village, Stade de France, Olympic Aquatic Center, Place de la Concorde, and some others. By the way, in case you didn't know, Paris is hosting the Summer Olympics this year. In addition to all mentioned, a new depot will be opened at the southern end of Line 14 in Morangis, where 72 MP 2014 CA trains, also with the rubber wheels, will be maintained in the future. Line 14 currently carries around 650,000 passengers daily and is expected to exceed 1 million in the coming months. It will operate again with a frequency of 85 seconds between departures once they will have received the dozen of new trains that are still awaiting delivery. Meanwhile, the first 102 eCitaro electric buses ordered by the city from Daimler Buses was presented in The Hague. Some of the ordered electric buses will be 12-meter long, which the city will receive first, and 18-meter articulated models will also due to arrive at the end of this year. Along with the buses themselves, The Hague presented its updated depot, which was built by ABB E-Mobility and Batenberg Technique. In general, it is planned that by 2030 only zero-emission buses will operate in the Rotterdam-Hague agglomeration. Ukraine has received 500 million euros for the purchase of locomotives. Recently, Ukrzaliznytsia signed an agreement with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development for a 300 million loan to purchase 80 electric locomotives. In addition to this, another similar agreement for $190 million was signed with the World Bank. The tender for locomotives is already underway. Meanwhile, New Zealand government has allocated $265 million for railway projects in the 2024 budget. $97 million will be used to modernize the Auckland railway network, and $65 will be spent on upgrading outdated tracks in Auckland and also Wellington. By the way, in the comments to my video about the Wellington trolleybuses, a lot of people wrote that the New Zealand railways has been in decline in recent years, so please let us know how visible and tangible these reconstructions are, if you happen to live in New Zealand, of course. The Spanish manufacturer CAF has received a large order to build the trains for the Madrid subway. First of all, they will supply 40 wide 6-car trains to operate on lines 6, 8 and 11, and they will replace the old 5000 series trains, which are 30 to 40 years old. The other 40 trains will be designed for narrow profile lines and will have a width of 2.4 meters. These trains will also be 6-car and will replace the old 2000 series trains. The delivery is scheduled for the second half of 2026, and the total contract price is 1.1 billion euros, of which 470 million is a loan from the European Investment Bank. An extension of the M4 metro line was launched in Copenhagen with the participation of the King of Denmark. The new section, which has a length of 5.7 kilometers and 5 stations, has been under construction for 6 years. And this extension is expected to bring an additional 8 million passengers per year to Copenhagen's driverless metro system, which currently has 44 stations and 43 kilometers of lines, increasing total traffic to 135 million passengers per year. And the next news came from Brazil, from my subscriber. The city of Salvador in the state of Bahia started the construction of LRT line. This idea emerged over 10 years ago for the 2014 World Cup, but wasn't realized and got stuck at planning. The line was planned to replace the very old suburban train line, which was built in the 19th century and used trains from around 1950s. Later, the state government signed a contract with BYD for the construction of a monorail in place of the LRT, but for some reason the government still called the project as a light rail. In 2021, the Chinese group responsible for the project wanted to update the contract from 1.5 billion reals to 5.2 billion, and also the extension of the contract time, but but the government didn't agree. In August of last year, after a lot of legal stuff, the government finally cancelled the contract and then started the new project, coming back to the original light rail idea. They opened the bidding in December of 2023, and in June the governor officially started the construction. The project cost about $620 million and is divided into 3 segments. The first is scheduled to begin operations in 2026, and the whole line is planned to be completed in October 2027. The total length is 36.4 kilometers, which is longer than the old project with 23.3 kilometers and 25 stations. Although the monorail project went further towards the city center, the LRT goes way deeper into the suburban area, crossing the entire city length, connecting with the BRT and the big new bus station Aguas Claras and the metro. And about a week ago, the government also bought 40 CAF Urbus 3 trams from the city of Cuiabá and their failed tram project to run the Salvador light rail. Currently, the trams are being transported to São Paulo and later will be sent to Salvador. And that was all the news for this week. Feel free to write about interesting things happening in your cities, cause it helps to make these episodes much more engaging. Thanks for watching and see you next time.